Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're tackling cliff aging, this term that's been making waves, maybe sparking a bit of fear. The idea that we suddenly fall off an aging cliff at certain ages.
Yeah, it sounds quite dramatic, doesn't it?
It really does. And this whole deep dive actually came from a listener's question sent to Professor Lin, who's, well, an expert in debunking health misinformation. So our mission today is to unpack this cliff aging claim for you, see what's really going on behind the headlines.
And it's fascinating, isn't it, how fast a concept like this, one that sounds scientific, can just take hold, especially when it plugs into those really natural anxieties we all have about getting older.
Absolutely.
So we'll explore why thinking critically is just so important when you're navigating all this health information out there, particularly for your own health choices.
Okay, so let's get into it. Our listener, Kathy, she sent Professor Lin a link. It was to an article on healthnews.com, published back in November 2024. And it made this bold claim, said that according to a Stanford University study, people hit these significant cliff aging points around specifically 44 and 60 years old.
Right. And the article then suggested these ages were like critical turning points. Hormones, metabolism, cell function, everything supposedly takes a dive. It even went so far as to recommend specific supplements. The usual suspects: vitamin C, vitamin E, omega-3, CoQ10, and collagen.
Very specific recommendations there. From your perspective, looking at health claims, what was the immediate reaction to those supplements for this specific issue?
Well, a couple of things. First, the supplements themselves.
Hmm.
Their backing for claims like this is often pretty shaky. Take collagen, for example.
Yeah.
It's actually, well, it's too large a protein molecule to effectively pass through the intestinal wall and get into your bloodstream to have the claimed systemic effects. It mostly just gets digested.
Right, like other proteins.
Exactly. But maybe even more telling was the article itself. It mentioned having 3 reference materials, but provided 0 citations, no links, nothing verifiable. And crucially, that Stanford study it kept mentioning, nowhere. It just wasn't there.
So the core piece of evidence, the Stanford study, was basically a ghost. How did you even begin to track down where this idea might have originated? Where was the first sort of breadcrumb?
Well, first I tried searching it using the Chinese term for cliff aging,
Right.
and wow, that opened a floodgate. Countless sensational articles, videos. I saw one wondering if the actor Tony Leung was hitting cliff aging at 62. But still, none of them actually cited the supposed Stanford study.
Show 'em a source.
Nope. So then I switched to searching cliff aging in English. And believe it or not, I eventually stumbled upon a site called Arnold's Pump Club.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, that Arnold.
The very same. Now, even there, the connection was tenuous, pretty flimsy. But it did finally point towards a Stanford study, a real one, published in August 2024, titled Nonlinear Dynamics of Multi-Omics Profiles During Human Aging.
Okay, so finally, the study exists. But the crucial part here is what the study actually looked at, right? It was purely analyzing molecular changes.
Exactly. Tiny level stuff.
Yeah.
What's happening inside our cells, genes, proteins, that sort of thing, omics data. And what it found, fundamentally, is that aging isn't this smooth, linear decline we might imagine. Our bodies change in these complex, nonlinear ways over time. Different systems change at different rates.
Linear, okay.
But, and this is key, the paper never used the word cliff, not once. In fact, the term aging cliff doesn't even appear in PubMed, which is, the huge database for biomedical research.
Right. So if the actual scientific literature, the original study, doesn't use the term, where did cliff aging actually spring from?
Well, my research strongly suggests it's primarily a marketing term coined in Chinese media around 2022. I found a 2022 article from People's Daily that cited a Cambridge study claiming a catastrophic change happens at 70. And then another one from a group called Hongji Medical Group citing a different Stanford study from 2019 this time, claiming turning points at 35, 60, and 80.
Wow. So wait, we've got supposed cliff ages at 35, 44, 60, 70, 80, all citing different prestigious studies.
Precisely. It's all over the place.
It makes it pretty clear, doesn't it? While aging definitely isn't linear, these specific cliff ages seem completely arbitrary. Made up, even.
That's the takeaway. The molecular research is valuable academic work, but you can't just directly translate those complex, subtle findings into some universal, dramatic cliff that applies to everyone's lived experience. It just doesn't work like that.
Okay. So we've taken our deep dive into cliff aging, and really it seems to be just a marketing term. It's not a scientifically proven phenomenon at all. Professor Lin's investigation really drives home how important it is to, scrutinize these popular health claims, to really use that critical thinking.
Absolutely. And if you connect this to the bigger picture, it really highlights a challenge you face constantly,
Yeah.
figuring out what information is reliable. Like Kathy, Professor Lynn's reader, pointed out even things that sound credible, maybe a course at a community college, or articles that casually drop names like Harvard or Stanford. They can still spread misinformation, sometimes unintentionally.
That's a really crucial point.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it leads to that big question. How do you protect yourself?
Mm.
How do you avoid that IQ tax, as some call it? Money wasted on unnecessary supplements based on these false promises.
Yeah.
The answer really always comes back to questioning things, seeking out the original sources, if you
Yeah.
can, and just remembering that your own aging journey is unique. It is nonlinear, sure, but it's yours. It's definitely not dictated by some imaginary one-size-fits-all cliff.